Hi, my name is Woo-Jung, and today I'm going to be doing another daily devotional. And I'm going to change it up a little bit. Today I'm going to be reading out of my journal, and the reason being is that what I want to talk to you guys about today is better if I reference to what I have written down rather than just winging it. Okay? So forgive me, but today I'm going to change things up a bit and read out of my journal and then freestyle a little bit here and there. But anyways, today we're going to be reading from the book of Luke, chapter 6, verse 45. And the word of God goes like this. A good man brings good things out of the good stored up in his heart. And an evil man brings evil things out of the evil stored up in his heart. For the mouth speaks what the heart is full of. And going off of that Bible verse, I just wanted to talk to you guys about two examples in history. And the first one that I want to bring up is an example of an American shooting that occurred at an Oregon community college. Essentially, this guy brought a gun to school, went into a classroom, shut the door, shot the professor point blank, and then lined up all the students in the classroom, executioner style. And he asked them a simple question. Are you a Christian? If you are a Christian, then stand up. And then when they stood up, he said, because you are a Christian, you're going to see God in about 1 second. And then he went down the line and he shot and killed them. And my initial reaction to this story was I was frustrated and angry because can you imagine being one of those students in that classroom lined up awaiting your death by a bullet? Also, not too long ago, 21 Christian men who came from Libya, Egypt, and Chad were executed in a pretty similar fashion. Now, if you know anything about geography in relation to religious affiliation, then you would know that Libya, Egypt, and Chad are not Christian nations, right? A majority are Muslim. But anyways, these 21 men were also lined up, executioner style, and they were asked if they were a believer, if they were a Christian. And what really made my heart tear up is that out of these 21 men, 20 were actually devout Christians, and 1 was not. And the story goes like this. 20 of those men, when they were asked, are you a Christian? 20 of them stood firm with conviction and with all of their heart. They were firm in their resolve for Jesus. Those 20 men. You see, the thing is, their actions spoke louder than their words. Had they have said, no, I'm not a Christian, they potentially could have lived, you know? But even in the face of death, knowing that it would be painful, they admitted, they stood strong to their faith in their God, and they admitted that they were Christian. So much so that the one other dude, if you put them all together, it's 21, right? There was 20 Christians, 1 non-believer. He witnessed what he saw. These 20 men, they admitted that they were Christian. And because they had done so, a pending death was awaiting them. And he was moved. And he turned Christian at that moment. When it was his turn, when they asked him the question to the non-believer, so say you, are you a Christian as well? He said yes. He said, my God is their God. Because for the normal person, when you're in the face of death, let's not even lie. Let's be honest with ourselves. The coward in all of us, creeps in and it'll take over. Because let's admit it. If you have the option of living or dying, most of us will choose to live, right? Unless you have some pending cause of a mental illness or suicidal idealization or depression or some outlier source of a variable. So with all of that aside, a normal person, okay, without a mental illness or any kind of emotional disorder, right? If given the option to live or die, more often than not, they're going to choose the option to live. And in doing so, they're going to abandon their faith and do whatever it takes to live. So even in the heat of the moment, they're going to reject God and say that they're not a Christian so that they could live. Now you see, the non-believer, he saw all of this happening. And it moved him. It touched him. He said, wow, these 20 men, they know they're about to die for admitting their faith. And still they're going through with it. This Christianity thing, there must be something more to it. And as a matter of fact, he turned Christian because of that. Because he saw their actions. He wanted to believe in this God as well. Because even in the face of death, they were not scared. They did not back down. They were proud of their religious affiliation, of their faith, of being Christian. So much so, this non-believer said, I will believe as well. And when they were about to execute him too, he said he was a Christian as well. Now, some of you guys watching this will probably know what incident I am referring to. And it's a little bit more violent and graphic than what I'm talking about because they were actually beheaded. So the reason why I chose that particular verse about what is in our heart will eventually come out. And the reason why I use these two examples is that in a moment of crisis, your real face and tendency will show itself. Your real colors. So if you live your life selfishly, then it will show. No matter how much you try to fake it, that you're a good person, if your life is at stake, in the heat of the moment, if there's a gun to your head or whatnot, an extreme example, I'm sorry for using extreme examples today, but it's to get my point across, okay? So if there's a gun to your head, in the heat of the moment, then you will be selfish then as well. So what I'm trying to say is that whatever is in your heart, whether it's good intentions or evil, negative, toxic, selfish colors, it will show. So the way that you conduct and live your life, the way that you fill your heart, right? Because the way you live your life is the way your heart is going to be as well. So if you live your life being greedy, mean, and just negative and hurtful, your heart is going to be the same way, don't you think? And the crazy thing is, even in the heat of the moment, your bad colors can show, even if you live a righteous life beforehand. So even if you're doing the right thing and you're a good person overall, in the heat of the moment, that little bit of the bad colors that's inside you, it can still show. And I think that's really, really scary. Now let's look at a biblical reference, okay? Now, during the last few moments when Jesus was with his disciples, he was telling them what was going to happen. Essentially a play-by-play book, right? And he told Peter that before the rooster crows, he would deny Jesus himself 3 times. And if you know how the story goes, Peter was like, no, I can never, not you, right? And the really hurtful part is that when Jesus was captured and he was essentially being weighed for his judgment before, when they were trying to decide what to do with him, and when they were deciding to crucify him, and Peter was amongst the crowd, people were like, hey, you're one of his disciples, aren't you? Yeah, I've seen you with him. Peter denied Jesus. And this didn't just happen once, it happened 3 times. Reason being is that if you were associated as a disciple of Jesus, they were going to crucify you as well. And Peter knew this, and he denied knowing Jesus at the heat of the moment. And I think that's really scary, because if you think about it, even one of Jesus's disciples had it in him to deny Jesus when his life was at stake. And I think that's really scary, because I think we represent Peter. And the reason being is that our natural bodily reaction to a negative experience is to retaliate with emotion, such as fear, being scared, angry. And we can relate to Peter on this. I mean, can you imagine being in his shoes? Just knowing that the person that you loved, the person that you spent every day with, learning about Christianity, at the spur of the moment, the heat of the moment, he was scared and he denied Jesus. And I know what you're probably thinking, like, no, if I was in Peter's shoes, I would have been like, yeah, I believe Jesus, blah, blah, blah. If Peter is evil, how could he do that? Some of you are probably thinking that, but honestly, guys, you can't really be judging them too hard because we're all human. And I can definitely relate to what happened with Peter. For an example, one time we had a lacrosse game against one of our rival schools, right? And at the time I was a captain, okay? So as a captain, you're essentially leading and representing the rest of your team, right? And I remember we were beating this specific school by a lot of points. And I think it might have been a shutout. And in lacrosse, you're lucky to have 3 goals, 3 goals total, like 2-1 or 3-3. If both teams score 3 points and it's a 6-point game total, that's crazy. It's exciting. With that said, we were essentially beating this rival school like 20 points. No exaggeration. Around 20 points or so, and they had 0. So they started to get frustrated, and I think it was about the 3rd or 4th quarter, and they started playing dirty. And when I say dirty, I don't mean they're just like trash talking us. I'm saying they're doing illegal stick checks, poking us, and doing stuff that's not allowed by the rule book of high school lacrosse, okay? And I remember they were playing dirty and they hurt one of my teammates. My first initial reaction as a team captain was, I got angry. I ran after the dude that played dirty and hurt my teammate. And I was like, you do it again? And I don't know, I think I said some mean things, I think something along the lines of, I got his back, do it again, and I was angry, I was heated, and my coach saw this and he immediately ejected me. Not the referee, but my coach. He ejected me because he knew that I was playing with emotion at that point and I wasn't in control of my own behavior and body. And that just goes to show that at the heat of the moment, even I wasn't immune to being righteous and doing the good thing, right? At the heat of the moment, when I saw one of my teammates get hurt because of a dirty move, I was ready to go kick his... Okay, I was about to cuss, but I was ready to go beat up the guy that hurt my friend, and more importantly, teammate. And when my coach saw this, he ejected me. And looking back, my coach did the right thing. Because had I thrown my gloves down and fist fought the guy that hurt my teammate, I would have been suspended not only from school, but from playing in the remainder of the season, which would have really hurt my team. Because being a captain, plus being one of the leading scorers, you don't want to get suspended. Especially when you're in a team sport. So thank God, and I learned the lessons of being a team player that day. No doubt. Thank you, Coach. He doesn't watch my videos, but if I see him again, I just want to say thank you to him, even though it's been 10 years. Whew, long time. Wow, that's a lot of examples that I'm using today, right? I used, I think, 4 examples. 1 from the Bible, 1 from my personal experience, and then 2 from the real world. Okay, but anyways, going back on topic. So, with that said, our natural bodily reaction to a negative experience is to retaliate with emotion, right? Can we agree upon that? If you don't agree, then I guess the rest of this video is not going to make sense. But if you agree with what I'm saying, even if it's not 100%, even if you're kind of like nodding your head like, yeah, I guess that's true. I guess if something bad happens to me, I guess I'm going to retaliate with emotions such as like happiness, sadness, anger, frightened. Yeah, sure. I guess you're right, Ujong. Okay. If you're one of those people that's agreeing with me, then keep watching. If not, then the rest of this video is probably just going to make you more angry because you're probably thinking, Ujong, you're not making sense. Stop it. Anyways, if you agree with me, then here's the thing. The heat of the moment, you don't want to be unpredictable. You don't. You want to know what you're going to do in the heat of the moment, okay? So, we must train our flesh to obey our heart to do the right thing. Let me clarify myself so that I don't lose you. You're still with me, right? So if you want to become someone that's selfless, right? So to become a selfless person, even in the heat of the moment, then you need to be a selfless person every day. In small decisions or big choices, be selfless. If you want to be a loving person, say, I want to be a loving person. Everyone does it, right? If you're a Christian, that's basically essential. If you are a Christian, that is essential to our walk in faith, okay? To be a loving person. And if you want to be a loving person, even in the heat of the moment, then you need to be a loving person every day. In small or big choices, you need to be a loving person. Okay? You are essentially conditioning your body, your mind, your soul, your spirit, and your emotion to react the way you want it to. Okay? So you want to train yourself to be the way you want to be, even in the heat of the moment. And the thing is, training yourself to behave the way you want to is not going to be easy. As a matter of fact, what did we agree upon earlier? Our body's natural reaction to something negative is to respond with emotion, something that's unpredictable, right? It's going to be hard. So to train yourself to behave the way you want to, it's going to be kind of like an uphill struggle. Okay, so you're going to have to pray to God a lot and ask Him for the strength to become the person that you know you should become. So with that said, train yourself, okay? It's not going to happen overnight, and it's not going to happen at the spur of the moment, okay? And this wouldn't be a daily devotional if I don't challenge you or get you to think, right? So I want to ask you, so what's in you? Honestly, ask yourself, what is in you? Legitimately, in your heart, do you think you're a good person? I mean, this is time for self-reflection, man. At the end of the day, you can lie as much as you want to other people, that you're a righteous, you're a holy person, that you're a Christian, you're good, you do all this and that. But at the end of the day, you can't lie to yourself. Okay? You know deep down inside what kind of person you are. And more importantly, and ultimately, you can't lie to God. He sees it all, man. So you can lie as much as you want and pretend to be you're a good and righteous person. But deep down, if you know that you're a pretty rotten egg, I think it's time that you need to self-reflect and work on it, right? To become a better person with small steps and choices, and train yourself every day, day in, day out. Big choices, small decisions, whatever it is, literally become the person that you want to be. Stop faking it. It's time to take off the mask, right? And I'm in the business of hurting feelings, right? So I love to say what needs to be heard, okay? I'm not here to like feed you rainbows and unicorns and make you feel good inside, okay? Sometimes tough love is the best love, and it'll get through some people's heads. Because as an individual of the millennial generation, all of us have been patty-caked and pampered too much for our own good, to the point that we hate hearing the truth. But anyways, I don't want to get into that right now. But really, after this video, I really want you to ask yourselves, what's in you? Right? So the next time a negative experience happens to you, heat of the moment, what will you do? How will you respond? Right? Anyways, I hope you guys enjoy this daily devotion with me. I actually really enjoy this one, and I feel like my thought was more well put together because I was reading from my journal and referencing to it and then freestyling off it. I think this is a lot better of a method. I think I might start doing this more. So if you make it to the end of this video, tell me what you thought. Do you like it if I just memorize everything and speak? Or do you think it's better if I have my thoughts put together, it's written, and I can just reference it and freestyle it if I need to as well? Let me know down below which one is better. And really, I hope you self-reflect in what is in you. And with that said, I'll talk to you guys in the next one, and have a blessed day. Oh yeah. And I love you. 새롭게 또 시작된 날. And I will praise you, my Lord. 쓰러진 내 삶을, 힘겨운 내 맘을 이길 힘을 난 얻었네. 믿을 수 없는 기쁨. And I will praise, 다시 또 노래하네.
cheek.